Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't get the outcome he wanted. You know, at least he didn't lose, but ultimately a draw isn't the best look when you're seen as the face of boxing. You're probably the biggest draw in the sport right now, and you're representing boxing well, you know, doing all these crazy performances. The antics and the knockout performances have been tremendous to see, but now we see that streak come to an end, and Lamont Roach kind of shocks the world. You know, he ruined a lot of plans for sure, because for Tank, I'm sure to an extent he was overlooking Lamont and saying, you know, I'm going to be able to handle this guy. Maybe I'll throw him a little payday, but ultimately Lamont spoiled every plan that Tank had, because ultimately, like, I'm hearing that Tank has sent Lomachenko a contract, reached out to Top Rank. Those are the rumors right now. But ultimately, it's like, how can we see him fight Lomachenko when he kind of has unfinished business? Like, if he had beat Lamont Roach and maybe it was close and he won a close decision, I would get that, but come on, it was a draw. I feel like Tank has to set that up. You know, he's also been very verbal on social media and outspoken about how he's kind of changed his mind and wants to go straight back into that rematch in May, you know, at the earliest. But now we're hearing that his team has sent not Lamont Roach an offer, but Lomachenko an offer. So it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Are we getting the Lamont Roach rematch first, or are we getting the Lomachenko fight? So we'll see what happens. We'll listen to, you know, the upcoming news. Obviously, I'll let you guys know the latest to my knowledge. But, you know, I saw Tank up close and personal throughout fight week, and it didn't seem like anything was out of the ordinary. Obviously, Barry Hunter was there, so some changes in the corner. I obviously don't feel like that was the problem. I feel like Tank just had a lot going on. Maybe he had a lot of changes in his training camp. You know, he had trained in Baltimore, I believe, you know, back at his home gym. So that and a culmination of, you know, making some changes, maybe threw it off. Some people are saying, you know, Calvin should have been the head trainer and the only one, you know, within his corner and given all the instructions. But, you know, like Barry Hunter said, he was part of Tank's career before he was even famous. So it's just like, you can't blame it all on that. At the end of the day, I respect Tank for taking a lot of the responsibility, but ultimately, you know, I looked at that fight and I was a little bit like shocked, because like that whole situation, the controversy surrounding the fact that Tank took a knee, yeah, that's a knockdown ultimately. But for me, as someone who, you know, thought Tank was more locked in, you know, that wouldn't bother him, because ultimately, like, imagine if that was blood. He said it was hair grease, right? But imagine if he had clashed heads with Lamont Roach and that was blood instead. You can't go to your corner and wipe your eye, you know what I mean? You can't stop the fight, because ultimately there's a reason that's an automatic standing 8 count when you take a knee, is because if you have, you know, something in your eye and you go back and wipe it, you know, even though it's maybe true, how are we supposed to know that? You know, how are we supposed to know that? You can change the momentum of a fight. And honestly, the ref was basically saying, you know, like, okay, it's fine this time, but like, that shouldn't have been the case realistically. And I had Tank winning, but that wasn't a right decision from the referee to just allow the fight to continue. You know, Tank, as good as he is, you know, shouldn't have exceptions made for him. That's still a standing 8 count, ruled as a knockdown for Tank Davis. And if that were the case, that affects the scorecards, and Lamont Roach is your lightweight champion. But because they kind of gifted Tank that, and it's like Tank has a privilege that he gets to take a knee and not get penalized for it, is kind of unjust in my opinion. And I feel like that's why I can see the robbery, because ultimately I always say a robbery is only like if you're winning 8 rounds or winning 9 rounds or 10 rounds, or you want every round pitch the shutout. But in this scenario, it's a little bit different, because there was supposed to be an affected scorecard in the 9th round that should have been 10-8 for Lamont. Now it was scored 10-9 for Tank, and that changed the fight, the outcome of the fight. So it's just a little bit unfair to say the least, but I think that Tank needs to eventually give Lamont Roach that rematch. And, you know, it shouldn't even be a question of whether or not he gives it to him, because the fight was literally a draw. If you literally have a draw, that's kind of like, as any competitor, wouldn't you mentally think, if you're a real competitor, if you're like the Michael Jordan, if you're like the Kobe Bryant, aren't you going to take that rematch right away and try to fix that up? Because that's unfinished business at the end of the day. If Tank's a real competitor, if he's really like Floyd, or if he's really like any great competitor in the world of professional sports, he's going to get back in a rematch and go get it. So let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down what you guys think about this situation. But thank you guys for watching. Peace.